I'm Bethany. This is Pastor Brad, and we're here with a Weekend Extra. This week we are talking about Love Always Hopes in our Love Liable series. And this week, I've had so many notes to take and just have been learning so much through this series and just thinking about, where I am in this world. And I think everybody's probably kind of doing that and trying to figure out, how do we live this out? I love some of the things you said, to wait for something with full confidence is what hope is. And then we need to take that hope and offer it to the world. And I was thinking about some of my negative friends. Okay. I'm an eternal optimist.
Yeah, good.
I can
You're
find
my kind of people.
Yeah,
let's forget the negative ones. Let's just
right. No, but we can't. And there are times that I'm negative. There's times where I will message friends and be like, I think I just whined a whole lot, and I don't like whining. I don't like it for my kids, and I don't like to do it myself. So I was thinking about, a lot of times I grow weary listening to complainers, and I want to offer them hope, and I'm always the person that's like, well, there's this, or we could try that, or we can try this, and they shoot it down every single time. So I get very weary in the offering of hope sometimes, and with those people. So how do you recommend dealing with that kind of person in our world?
Yeah, they can be very taxing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just like people like myself probably can be annoying at times, right? So
I'm annoying.
We all have our things, but I think sometimes when I think of Love Always Hopes in those kind of situations, that's a good question. But I think some people, I think the easy way is to try to tell them how to fix it.
Right.
I think the hard thing when hoping is being their friend, even though they are complaining. Right. And there's a right time to address those things and all that stuff. But I think it's sticking with them even when they're not listening to us, even when they're not taking our advice, even when they're not heeding what we say, even when they're shooting up sometimes, but you're still with them. Right. And I think hope shows I'm not giving up on you, because I think a lot of times, my tendency is if a person complains a lot, I try to avoid them. Yeah. Right. And so then that's not being very hopeful.
Right. Right. I know sometimes I get this feeling after I've left the situation. I'm like, oh, why don't they take my advice? And I think, Bethany, listen, just listen, and sometimes maybe that's all someone needs. Yeah. But here I am offering all kinds of helpful, in my opinion, suggestions and things like that. But sometimes I think I just need to close my mouth and not.
It's a hard thing to do.
Right.
It's a hard thing to do because we like to talk. We like to. Right. We like to think we have the answers, and it feels good to come through for people to fix them. Absolutely. But I think it's the feeling for them and being there for them, and because there's probably something that's driving that's complaining. You know what I mean? If it's a constant complainer, there's probably something that's in there. Mm-hmm. Some kind of hurt or something. But. Right.
So I loved what you said too about having an eternal perspective, and letting hope change us. Years ago, I was in a pretty hopeless situation, and I was very frustrated. So I started just praying, help me look for the positives. Help me to find the joy in things. And I kind of equate joy with hope a lot of times, because it doesn't necessarily mean I'm happy all the time. It just means that I can look at the situation and be like, God's got this. Mm-hmm. I know I was thinking during the sermon, too, that when I went through my divorce, one of the things I said to a friend was, even if this is the worst situation that's ever happened for me, and it was, if my ex-spouse knows Jesus more because of everything we've gone through and the way that I'm choosing to live through this, then that is the best thing that could ever happen. And so I think just hearing this and knowing that when we offer hope to others, we can find hope for ourselves. And like you were saying, too, it's not all about us. No, right. Sometimes you have to give things away, and it's going to cost you something. And that cost me a lot. But at the same time, my hope is for a great eternity for all of us involved. So
yeah, because you might not always see this. You might never see the answers while you're here on Earth, and we might never know why it works out the way that it does. But and it's not always about how the person responds, but I think it's about how we're acting out of love. We can't control how somebody responds, and it's up to them and up to people what they do with the hope. But it's like that eternal perspective of waiting on God, because even like Josh talked last week about Joseph. Think about how long he had to trust God, right?
Oh,
just imprisoned and all those things. But yet in the end, he's like, you intended it for evil, but God intended it for good. And that's hopeful.
Yeah, it really is. I loved what you said at the end. Pray impossible prayers. Pray big, big things for people. And I just love that. I love that we have that opportunity to commune with God and to hope for people that are hopeless. And I think with this being a big week at Grace, with the Grace Race and with Feed My Starving Children, it's really exciting to see that we can pray and then we can go out and serve and walk these things out. So any advice on how to get plugged in and serve and kind of drop the pebble in the water?
Yeah, I mean, right now we're looking at connect groups starting up. I think any way you can get around people, I think use what the church has to its fullest if you can. There's if you just watch online and those things, which is great, you get great information. But the beautiful part about being in a church together with people, you get to interact with them, you get that relationship, and you get people who are hopeful being in your life, and you can maybe express hope to people, or other people can pick you up when you're down. So whether you're going through a difficult time like you were talking about, or whatever, people have your back, or people are there for you. If nothing else, there's people who will pray for you and will commit to you, and but none of us are perfect. But it's pointing people to Jesus, who is perfect, and we probably will let you down at times. But you need to keep putting yourself out there. So I would encourage you to check out the Connect groups. Look at areas like with our city partners. I know we have a City Serve thing coming up. All kinds of information on the app that we can check out there, and just try something, even if it's something small. We can always serve weekly, but I don't know. Just try something. Feed My Starving Children was you saw how the benefits of that, right? How you can do a tangible thing and make a big difference. And so some of the things might not have numbers with all these meals like Feed My Starving Children did, which is amazing. But you don't know what results are happening in a person's heart.
Well, like you said, even making eye contact with someone and saying hello can be world-changing for someone.
Yeah, and smiling. I said hi to someone when I was running the other day, and they just ignored me. It felt really hurtful. I don't understand. It's like, but maybe they had their earphones, and I don't know. But I try to say hi to everybody and smile, and sometimes maybe that's creepy. I don't know. But we're just trying, right?
I'm a creeper, too.
But I think, and even go back to the praying thing, I think sometimes where I was convicted is I just, in Ephesians, what Paul says, God will give us more than we ask or imagine. And I don't think it's just praying self-centeredly, but God can do incredible things.
Absolutely.
And we sometimes are just praying for better test scores or even if someone can overcome an addiction, which is a huge thing. Yeah. And we keep praying for those things, but man, what about a lot of big things that could happen?
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. Well, I'm Bethany. This is Pastor Brad. This is a Weekend Extra. We'll see you next weekend.